Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. No, it's not Asuko James today. It's Tululokwe Ogunjobi, TVC News business editor. Great to have you, Tulu.
Pleasure being here.
Indeed, one of the reasons we're having you is that we need your heavyweight to help us drive today's conversation because they made much weather of the fact that NNPC, for the first time in 40-something years, had actually submitted its audited reports. Tell me, how's that a big deal?
Well, you know, NNPC, Nigerian National Oil Company, and it is one entity that everybody believes that there is too much money in that entity. You know, it's one body aside NPA, NIMASA, and all of that everybody focuses on to see what that company churns out to government coffers. But over the years, there's always been this attitude, or what people believe, that in quotes, that maybe a little bit of corruption, or people not being transparent, not being accountable to expenses.
Yeah.
So I think this started.
Well, and that is as of state policy. It's not necessarily just the folks in NNPC.
Yes, yes.
For a long time, there was too much secrecy. Maybe there still is around the whole question of how many barrels a day are we finding? How much are we making? Those were supposed to be state secrets.
Our refineries still go up as much as 445,000 barrels a day, and they are not functional. If you even look deep into that report, which I'm sure we're still going to highlight during this discussion, you will see the amount of losses incurred by these refineries, and we still keep funding them. So you see, NNPC this started immediately. President Buhari came in, the transparency agenda, saying NNPC must be transparent. And I think even before Mele Kyari came in, this move started. And I saw that Mele Kyari came in and said, this must be done. And it's really good that he's been able to blaze the trail, you know, coming out to start this and making them see that, yes, we can let this work. We can show you what we get in, what we spend. We can do all of this. So that transparency for NNPC, I think, is really, really a good one for this government, because it has never happened. So for a company like NNPC, I think it's really a good one for them to start this way.
In fact, well, thank you very much, Tolu. As I said, as you said, we might have, a package or not, in the course of this conversation. We'll see how that goes. But we do have a guest joining us. He's a chartered accountant. He's also an industry watcher in regard to things financial. I'm talking about Mr. Adewale Adegbenro, as I said, chartered accountant. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Adegbenro.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The moderator and the viewers. Nigerians, good morning.
Indeed. So, Tolu, my colleague
How's
Tolu.
the rain in your area? How's the rain in your area?
Very serious.
Well, it's the same, quite frankly. Quite serious. Thank you very much for asking. Tolu, would you like
All right,
to kick off?
Mr. Adegbenro, it's good to have you really join us on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to start with, what's your reaction to this? In 43 years, NNPC has not done this, and we see the Mele Kyari-led NNPC now coming out with this report. How would you react directly to this?
My immediate reaction is that we should appreciate Mele Kyari, and particularly the president of the country, Major General Muhammadu Buhari. You know, it was the directive from Muhammadu Buhari that he wants a commitment of transparency and commitment for all government agencies, and particularly NNPC. So based on that, Mele Kyari also took it upon himself that he should publish the report of the financial report of NNPC. So we should appreciate the president, the Mele Kyari, and the total management of NNPC for giving us this opportunity to know what is happening in NNPC and all its subsidiaries. The one they publish is about 19th business unit.
19, yeah.
Okay, tell you what, as you continue, maybe for the rest of us, let's start from the real building blocks, A, B, and C. So what exactly is a financial audited, an audited financial statement? Why is it important?
Yes.
What exactly is that?
The audited financial statement is a statement of financial statement presented by management of an organization which an independent auditor has formed an opinion on it, whether it shows a true and fair view of what the management is doing. Let me say it like this. You have a business and you don't have time to run it. You employ somebody to run it for you. At the end of the day, the person must give you an account of stewardship. Now, you say somebody should go and check whether what he presented is okay or not. So this is exactly what we call financial audited account. Why is it important? Let me look at that. You know, this thing is particularly for NNPC. It is a directive from the presidency that they should publish this. That is number one. Number two is a statutory requirement by International Reporting Accounting Standard. And it is also a statutory requirement by Company and Lighter Matter Act, CAMA, so that all companies registered under CAC must produce audited report at the end of every financial year and publish it for the shareholders or generally the stakeholder to see. So why is it important is that it will show the credibility of the management. Apart from showing the credibility of the management, it also shows to the stakeholder how their company are performing. Who are these stakeholders? We have the shareholders, we have the government, we have the investors, we have the banker, we have the creditors and lenders. We even have the general public. In case of NNPC, we have the 200 million Nigerians that want to see what is the outcome of NNPC, what is NNPC doing.
Well, how come in the past 40 odd years or so, such important functions as what you have just been discussing with us have somehow, you know, slipped through the cracks? How has that gone on for 40-something odd years until the arrival of Mr. Mele Kyari and, of course, you know, at the president's leading, now moving in this direction? How could all of that happen?
You know, this is a political, we are trying to go into analysis now, but the question is a bit political. You know why it has not happened before? I think it has to do with our government, how serious they are. If you have an head, and the head says, go and do this and make it compulsory, you know, people under him will move. They say when the head is rotting, the whole body is rotting. And when the head is good, the whole body is good.
Okay.
Because President Muhammadu Buhari insisted that NNPC must its financial statement and back it up with action. That is why Mele Kyari and the whole management also took it upon themselves to do it. You know, in the past, there had not been pressure on the management of NNPC to publish the financial statement. You agree with me that some of these accounts have been prepared. They've done the audited report, but they are not publishing it.
So is there the implication, again, keeping it simplistic, the implication that without those accounts being presented to the public, because it is, you know, how do we put it now, technically possible for those accounts to not be presented to the public, but for there to be no stealing going on. But I would imagine that it is, you know, a lot easier, you know, for quote unquote, you know, how does one put it? Sharp practices to be carried out when you are absolutely sure that nobody's going to be presenting any report to any public, nobody's going to be asking for any auditor to come and look at it. So you get what I'm saying. Is it not possible that there would have been honesty while there was non-presentation?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me put this thing across to you. The perception of the public, the work of the independent auditor and external auditor is not to detect fraud. The person is to form an independent opinion on whether the internal control put in place to check fraud or whatever working properly. But during the course of doing this exercise, based on the procedures and analytical review of the risk and some of the things there, they can easily detect error, omission, commissions, or even fraud. You know, the perception of the general public is that auditors are to detect fraud, just like you just said now. There could be omission, there could be anything. But if you look at the company, the management too, if you ever go to an organization to audit, everybody there will be jittery. Auditors are here, auditors are here, because they know that in the process, you can detect fraud. But mainly the work of an auditor is not to detect fraud. But during the course of the audit, you can. You know, the main, how to get fraud is through investigation. Do you understand the difference between the two now?
Now, let's now dig deep into these figures that were brought out during this audit. We see a lot of, in quotes, losses, particularly with regards to the refineries. How does this come to you?
Yes, the refinery, I am not too bothered about the losses. But the one thing we should appreciate the NNPC for is that, at least for the first time, like you said, in 43 years,
yes,
they are able to publish the report of the organization, whether there is a loss or there is a profit. You know, when the report presented, you also see profit stroke loss. So the general public now can see what is happening there, and they will be able to ask questions just like you are asking now. But the most important thing is that they are able to present it. And one of the usefulness of this report is that anybody will analyze it, yes, and see the cause of the losses. Now, you and me, you can request for the account, analyze it. Where do they make loss? For the refineries, for some time now, they are down. They have not been working. Yes. And when they were working, particularly this Warri refinery, there are a lot of the pipe supplying them crude are being vandalized. And who are those people vandalizing this pipe? Is it not me and you, Nigerians? Quote and unquote.
Well, I really don't know how to rupture a pipeline. Go ahead.
Yes, they are Nigerians. What I mean is that they are Nigerians like me and you.
You're correct. So,
and they are the same people asking for the report of this. What report will you expect? How do you expect this organization to make profit when you are the one doing the sharp practices? So, but the fact that this organization has presented the report is a kudo. But I would likely add something before I conclude on this. The best thing for government to do now, an NNPC, on this refinery, is to look for a business model that will change the fortune of all this refinery, like the model of Nigerian liquefied natural gas, NLNG, where they will sell part of the shares of the organization to partners, not commercialization or whatever, but selling share, bringing in partner that will partner with government. You know, NNPC is like a national asset. We should not sell it. Just like a transmission company of Nigeria. When they sold some of the subsidiaries, they retained the transmission company. The refinery should not be sold, but they should partner. Like they can sell like 51%, and the NNPC retain 49%. With this, the partner will bring in their management idea and expertise professional, just like the one I just quoted now, LNNG, that the model is producing profits, and Nigerians are making something out of it. But if you continue this way, it may not necessarily bring anything. Another thing is that some of the machines could be modernized to the modern day equipment. Where there is need to change one or two things there, they change it. And the issue of maintenance should be critically looked into. Then the other one I talk about, the issue of vandalism, should also be critically looked into. Thank you.
For years, we've been looking at issues around vandalism and just around turnaround maintenance, like you said. Now talking about letting the you're outrightly against privatization or commercializing this refineries.
Yes.
Because everyone believes that might have a negative impact on the sector. Is that why you're against that?
You know why I'm against it is, I've said it for security reasons.
Okay.
You know, it is for security reason. Number one, it's a national wealth to all of us. But we have a model that actually works without privatization, like the LNG. It is working, and the LNG are making money. So why can't we look at that model for NNPC and change some of the machine to modern one by privatizing it? You know, we'll be giving our wealth to foreigners. You know, most of these people that we buy may not likely be Nigerians, and the commonwealth of Nigeria will be taken away. But if you give it to investors, they are partners. True. They are not actually taking the whole of, they will bring in their expertise, just like you privatize it, but NNPC is still part of the management. Yeah. This is what I'm talking, the model I'm talking about.
Like the TCN and all of that.
Yes, you are right. Like TCN and LNNG. So they should not privatize it. Just bring in partner. Let them do a holistic investigation of the problem. When they look at it, even issue of obsolete, the machine may not be obsolete. Yeah. But who knows when you didn't do any holistic investigation about it. Yeah. But when they do, they will actually know the problem. And Nigerians may not be able to do. Let the partner come. Let them do it. Where I invest money in, I want to see how it will work. Yeah. So let them bring partners.
Okay, that works for the refinery aspect of it. Like you identified when we started this discussion, more than 15 of the subsidiaries were actually audited and we had the reports. Now, so in all of this, government has always said that they want NNPC to be a profit-making organization, which is what most countries do outside Nigeria with a national oil company. So what other advice would you have looking at this report in its generality or in its totality, whichever you think?
Yes, looking at this report in totality, if you look at it, we have the upstream, downstream sector and the mainstream, which is the refinery we just talked about now. Yes. When you look at the upstream sector, you have the National Electric Technical and Company there, which make a profit. They have a turnover of about 36 billion in 2017, compared with that last year, the previous year, which is 2017, about 22 billion. Then they make a profit of about 2-something billion. So this is commendable. And then you have the NNPC, Nigerian Petroleum Development Corporation, which has a turnover of 1.3 trillion, with a profit of 179 billion. That is for the upstream sector. When you come down to the downstream sector, you have the PPMC that make a turnover of about 29 million, with a profit of about 9 million. And these are commendable. Yeah.
Well, and then you look at the sorry, could I jump in there? Forgive me for interrupting you. But I have some notes here, and I'm looking at the National Petroleum Investment reportedly posted what?
Yes, that is what I have.
Exactly. But I was going to say, isn't that abysmally small related to the potential? If we're talking about 5 trillion reported in 2018 and a profit of 1 trillion only in the petroleum sector, I wanted your expert opinion on, isn't this quite small for an extractive sector?
Yes, like you said, we look at it as being small. But, you know, even the extractive something you are talking about, when they make this statement known, the Extractive Initiative Transparency International commended NNPC for at least publishing the report. Okay. Even the Nigerian Extractive International Initiative also commended the NNPC for at least giving us something to see. So this, I don't want us to look at the margin.
Yes.
Whether the margin is or high.
Okay.
But the main thing is that at least they've done something. We should appreciate them. If you don't mind, let me put this thing across to you. You know, there is this Yoruba proverb that says somebody that prepare a soup that does not put salt for the diet, you say they should kill him. What about the person that doesn't prepare at all? So you are thinking about not making enough profit now. So you said 43 years ago they've not been publishing the report. Now we are talking about small margin. Well, they make something.
You're right.
This will put the management on their toes. From now, they will look into where the area that there is problem.
You're so right.
Let me put across to.
You're so right.
Let me say something.
Yeah. Okay. Carry on, please.
They will look at the cost of production. That is the major challenge we have now. In all their subsidiary, look at the cost of producing crude oil now. It's about $22 per barrel. So if they can look into this and reduce the cost of producing the barrel, that will bring in more profit. And already major carriers and the entire management has decided that they partner with their partner and they've discussed, they've agreed by 2021, they want to reduce the cost of producing this crude oil per barrel to $10. You know what that means? About $12 difference. That will translate into a lot of profit for the country.
Indeed.
So let's wait and see. Let's give them the opportunity. Let's give them the benefit of doubt and see what they can do.
You know, you're right, but it also goes back to you're explaining some of the benefits of this new quote-unquote regime, because it now gives everybody, every Nigerian, an opportunity to ask questions and indeed be responded to.
Exactly, you are right. Like I mentioned earlier, you know, most of these, I said the stakeholder. Who are the stakeholders? Let even the financial analysts do the financial analysis of all these things. You know that at the end of the day, they may not be too bad. Then the investor now, we want to see where I want to put my money. If you look at that 1 trillion to 5 trillion, at least it's about 20-something%.
That's right.
So which is not all that too bad. It may look bad, but not all too bad. I'm not saying it's perfect.
Okay.
They are not perfect.
One moment, please. Let me bring in Samuel, who is called in from Ogba. Good morning, sir. Go right ahead.
Good morning, sir.
Thank
Good morning. I want to thank you for this discussion today. Hello?
Thank you. We can hear you. Please, thank you. Go ahead with your question or comment. Yes, please.
Yes. I agree with Mr. Adegbenro on his analysis of the need for government to adopt the model of LLNG for NNPC. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Have you got a question for Mr. Adegbenro or an observation?
No, just a comment.
Okay.
I always have the opinion that if Nigeria can get it right with NNPC, then we can get it right with every other sector of our economy.
Okay. Indeed. Thank you very much for calling in, Samuel. You know, it seems like a logical point that he's making.
Well, it's true, because NNPC remains, oil remains the mainstay of the Nigerian economy at the moment. So anything that has to do with oil remains very important for us, because that's where we get most of our revenue from. Despite the COVID-19 challenge and everything, we still depend solely on the oil sector for us to be able to survive. So anything that has to do with making the NNPC more profitable, more accountable to Nigerians, I think that's the way we should go.
You know, there was a time back in 2015, I'm seeing in my notes here that now Governor El-Rufai has said that Nigeria needed to do away with the NNPC, lest it itself stand the risk of being destroyed. I don't know, your comment. That was back. Is there information going on now that could put this that observation of Governor El-Rufai back in the day, you know, in a better light?
Yes. You know, Governor El-Rufai is saying that if you don't do anything about NNPC will be destroyed. But now with this publication now, I think that should change the perception of every Nigerian, not only Governor El-Rufai, but the perception of everybody. You know, the perception of everybody is that NNPC is a pipe drill, where Commonwealth of Nigeria are being drilled.
Okay. And
if I saw a comment that says, if you are looking for where the corruption is high in Nigeria, go to NNPC.
Indeed.
Because people are not being informed. Let me put it across to you this way. You don't have an information about this. Whether they are doing right or they are doing wrong, you have different opinion. But now that you have an information about them, that should change your opinion. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, indeed. Besides,
you don't have an information.
Besides, this will tighten controls because, you know, as I was speaking about...
yes, I'm going there now. Apart from this, that is for the public.
Okay.
But for the individual, for the management now, look at for the management. This will put them on their toes.
Indeed.
They will look into way of reducing the cost. Look at where there is leakages. Especially, they will have to strengthen their internal control mechanism.
All right.
So that it will be able to pick either error, omission, or commission at early stage.
Let me bring in Oscar. Oscar's been waiting on the line in Enugu. Good morning, Oscar.
Yeah, good morning. Uncle Yemi, thank you for your program.
Good morning, sir.
While we commend NNPC for this laudable gesture of showing us our accounts, it is also important that we don't just celebrate, but critical questions must be asked. We must look at these books, look at where faults have arisen from, and questions must be asked, and punishment given to whichever sector, whichever area of NNPC within this period in review. We don't just celebrate that they have published the accounts. We must begin to ask questions. We must begin to ask questions and make punishments wherever we deem necessary. That is my view and my opinion.
Indeed. Thank you very much. And talking about past, images of the NNPC that hopefully Mr. Kyari, is helping to move around at the, following the direction of the president. Even Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, back in 2014, he's on record as saying that the former government, that is the government under Goodluck Jonathan, had actually turned the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation into an ATM machine. And so people just were going there and operating it like a machine. Now, none of that is going to be possible as long as this new initiative is continued, right?
None of such can be possible again. Most of these auditors being appointed to audit their account, they are international audit firm and reputable firm. They will not want anything that will tarnish their. So they will show a true and fair view of the organization. So that is what we should also note. And during the course of these things, there's what we call management report. Any atrocities or omission or commission seen during the course of this job must have been communicated to the management for correction in the future year.
Well, I suppose the big news about this, why it made waves, was because of the former secrecy, and now, now the determination.
Yes,
determination.
I've said it earlier.
Yes.
I've said it earlier that, when you have organization or even an individual, you don't have information about such a person, you are bound to make opinion on your own. So, but immediately you have information now, that should change your perception. Do you agree with me?
Indeed,
Yeah,
indeed.
true.
Frank in Port Harcourt would like to join the conversation. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Okay, good morning.
Good
I
morning.
just want to lend weight to the discussion this morning on the audited report. While we acknowledge the importance of the report, we also need to. Good morning.
Please continue.
Go ahead,
we
please.
can hear you.
Okay. Okay, listen. I'm aware that the NNPC, the major problem of the NNPC, for the production, the refineries in this case, okay, the refineries in this case, is feedstock. Because I'm also aware that the NNPC has funding to be able to upgrade the refineries and make them functional at up to 70 to 80% capacity utilization. But unfortunately, there is no pipeline coming from Bonny to NNPC old and new, and also the pipeline going from the refineries old and new to Enu to be able to evacuate petroleum products are vandalized. So it's impossible for the refineries to function properly if there is no feedstock. And that fund that is available can only be triggered if there is a guarantee of feedstock. And then this is going to cost so much because you need horizontal and directional drilling to be able to take the crude oil to the refinery. And to take it out of the refinery as well to Enugu element so it can pump to the north. So the major problem is putting in place the major nerves of the gas master plan. Without it, you can talk as much as you want, you can do auditing as much as you want, but you can't even utilize. You're talking about 445 barrels per day to be refined. How will you get that quantity of product to the refineries to go through the catalytic system?
Indeed.
That is the major problem. Not even the books are good, but we have the population to take up whatever comes out of the refinery. both the PMS, both the AGO. We're over 200 million people. You don't even need to export nothing.
Thank you very much
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for calling in. Mr. Adegbero, a bit of a technical commentary there. Would you like to, grab hold of it?
Yes. Like he actually said, I've reported that there are vandalism there. Yeah. But the model I've just suggested, if they look at it, they bring in partner. The partner will bring in their money. And whatever they need to do, they will be able to do it. And one other thing that will assist us, we will be able to employ Nigerians to work on these refineries. And they will be earning their source of livelihood. The country we are importing, we are helping their GDP. We are even assisting them to employ their own, we are feeding them. While our own youth are roaming about, where are we talking about even the vandalism?
Okay, Mr. Adegbero, I got to go on a break now, but thank you for being here, and please stay with us. We'll come back and continue with this conversation, and of course, continue to take your calls out there too. Stay with us, please. Okay, welcome back, and still in studio alongside my colleague Tolulokwe Ogunjobi, TVC News Business Editor, and we also have on the Skype line Mr. Adewale Adegbero, a chartered accountant, who's been helping us understand the new direction in the NNPC now with the opening up of the accounts. Thank you very much indeed for coming on, Mr. Adewale Adegbero. Just to observe in closing now with you that, well, the headship, Malam Kyari, has said that under his watch, from now on, and but at least for sure under his watch, this is how it was going to be, because his company is going to be accountable to 200 Nigerian, to the 200 million Nigerians who he considers as the stakeholders, the main stakeholders in NNPC.
Hello.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Adegbero. I think
yes.
I was just thanking you in closing, and also observing that Malam Kyari has said that under his watch, this is the way it's going to be. He's going to remain accountable to 200 million Nigerians who he considers to be the main stakeholders in the corporation.
Yes. On a final note, let me put it across this way: the NNPC should maintain this tempo and make sure they audit their account every year. And I even understand that they are even producing monthly reports now, which we assist them from time to time. And I want to give it to other agencies of government to start looking into possibility of publishing their own report, so that everybody will see what is happening in all these agencies. Like you rightly said the other time, NIMASA, Port Authority, and so on and so forth. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adegbero. Okay, so that's that then. Thank you very much thanks to Chartered Accountant Adewale Adegbero. We will now be joined by our other guest on this statement, having finished that segment of it. Our friend Mukhtar Mohammed, he's a stockbroker and a financial analyst. He's a man well known to Tolu as well. So good morning, Mr. Mohammed. But in the meanwhile, while we're trying to put him on, I was just saying that, he's a stockbroker and a financial analyst. You see, if this newfound transparency, well, I don't know if that was the right expression, but you know what I mean. This new regime is going to affect everything positively.
True.
Positively.
Because just like Mr. Adegbero said in closing, other agencies of government need to take a cue from the NNPC. This thing, transparency and accountability, would make people just wake up and have assumptions about all of these agencies, thinking that every agency of government is corrupt. Meanwhile, that's not what is happening. Just open the books and let's see what's really happening. Let's see the figures. Let's see where you're making profit. Let's see where you're making losses. Let's see what you're doing with your fundings. Let's see what's been really happening with your agency. And people will really now be able to judge and, pass on positive remarks, not always negative, because when they see like, look at what's happening with the refineries, everybody knows that yes, the refineries have challenges, the challenges of pipeline vandalism, the challenges of moving crude production, a lot of issues around the refineries. And the earlier the better, because I will say something, the Dangote refinery is on stream, and by the time that comes up, many people would even forget about the indigenous, that's the government refineries, because everybody will want to just face that angle and let production go on.
It's a bit like what happened in the telephone industry, where everybody just forgot about Nitel, and then everybody now went with the new private operators that were more efficient.
So it's something that really needs to be looked into. Agencies need to come out with these figures. Get credible auditors. Let them come and look at your books. Well, I'm not so happy too about the losses and all of that, but like Mr. Adegboru said, it has to be that way. At least they've given us something.
We've started with something.
Make do with what
exactly. And so now everybody can be speaking from a position of knowledge, from knowing what is going. We're keeping the phone lines open because we value your comments as well. And well, there you go. That's our friend. We now have Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed with us. Good morning, Mr. Mohammed.
Good morning, Uncle Yorin, and good morning,
Tolu Ogunjobi.
Tolu Ogunjobi. You are doing a nice job there. I don't think you need us any longer.
No, I always do. Well, how you doing? It's good to see you, Mr. Mohammed.
As for our business desk is hot, but enough of self-promotion. But thank you. Now, Mukhtar, give me your overview on the new, let me call it an initiative by the Malamele Kyari-led NNPC, where apparently secrecy, everything being stamped top secret. Said, look, there are stakeholders, 200 million Nigerians are the stakeholders, and from now on, under his watch, we're going to keep on this track.
There's no good news than that. I think that's the best news we've seen during this pandemic. So the pandemic keep on opening good things for us. So it's not all about the bad things about the pandemic. I think it's a good thing, but he should go a step further. I expected him to say that the NNPC will soon be listed in the Nigerian Stock Exchange. And then, so that is when it now belongs to 200 million Nigerians can have a part of this of our cash cow and be to own this NNPC. So it's a good thing they are opening up the books. It is a good thing they are beginning to do what we call corporate governance. We need to know what is their year end now. You need to tell us when is their year end so that we begin to ask the questions. And the Freedom of Information bills also help us to be able to ask questions when we think there's a lot of questions to be asked in one particular way. I think it's good. It's good for the oil industry. It's coming at a time that they are saying they are going to full deregulation of that sector. I think what we are saying now is that NNPC is going to prepare themselves for full deregulation, and also preparing themselves to be open to the public and also be listed. I think that's the best thing that can happen. If we finally have the cash cow of Nigeria listed in the stock exchange, whereby we can be able to scrutinize all their results year in, year out. I mean, that would be huge for the economy. That would be huge for government. That would be one of the best things President Buhari can give to Nigeria.
Indeed. How interesting that looks. Oh, Mukhtar, let us go that way of that deregulation of the oil and gas sector. We've seen claims and counterclaims coming, talking about deregulating that sector. PPRA is saying, no, you cannot fix prices. So you see, there's still a lot of issues in the oil and gas sector. Another important one I'd like you to also touch on is the cost of production, which NNPC is fighting so hard to reduce at this time. Those two things are very important if we are to make progress in the sector.
Tolu, you know why the PPRC is saying that? Because the petroleum marketers have not clothed themselves in glory also. So we're most Nigerians.
Mukhtar, could you hold it for a moment, please? I beg your pardon. Let me bring in Lawrence in Kaduna, who wants to join the conversation. We'll return to you after Lawrence's comment. Good morning, Lawrence.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yomi.
Thank you very much, sir, for calling in.
How are you this morning?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, quite interesting. We're talking about the cash cow, NNPC.
Indeed.
There's a big challenge with the public perceive the NNPC. Let me go straight to specific. to tell you that we watching the program, and we just had a development that the audited account has been released. That report is seemingly doctored. We will not accept such a report. I just listened to the chartered accountant, Adegbenro. He was so loyal to the issue of let's give them a pat on the back for releasing their report. But the other aspect of it that seems to be indicting is not coming out, which all along the years has been manifesting. Now, whether a business model or not to change the face of NNPC will be quite difficult because it's going to be managed by Nigerians. The cabal in NNPC need to be disbanded. If not so, there is no business model you will introduce that will make the operational activities to become profit-oriented. We need to get this right. The issue of merits, who's supposed to do this, the technical partners, who's supposed to do what they're supposed to do, needs to be done on a kind of platform that is very, very transparent. But as far as government has its hands in NNPC will never work. And we need to get this right. Never and never work. Because NNPC is a cabal thing. They are all, most of the top beneficiaries that you see there working there, they are all beneficiaries of cronyism. They benefited from the system, appointed because they have somebody up there. And the problem is that once you don't have the experts on the field, once you don't have the technical people on the field who should do this job, my brother, let's forget it. It is going to be a pipe dream for NNPC to come out of comatose they find themselves now. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. Well, Lawrence introduces another aspect to the, because it is an issue that Lawrence brings to the table, an issue that indeed has been out there. People have been writing, you know, editorials and analysis about, but we've started from here, and Lawrence is saying, yeah, well done. But beyond that, I wonder if the cabal that he was talking about, as he perceives it within the NNPC, its sort of dismantlement has not beginning. It has not started with this, as it were, fresh new perspective of transparency. Take away all the opaque windows, all the opaque walls. Now we have an open plan office, glass everywhere. Indeed. Everybody can see what everybody else is doing. So maybe some of those things that he's talking about, and this is my speculation entirely, will indeed come to the fore. Yeah. And maybe not be as easy with the clarity that apparently this will bring. I don't know, Mukhtar, would you like to weigh in on Lawrence's viewpoint?
Nigerians are Oliver Twist. They always ask for more. So I'm not surprised when I see them talking with so much passion about the NNPC, cash cow. And
because it is our commonwealth. It's ours now.
It's our commonwealth. And look, when you talk about cabal, there's no industry that does not have a cabal. Let's forget about what we talk about. Whether in the private sector, there are people that are cabal in that sector. We go to the public sector, the people that are cabal.
Okay, so I'm gonna take that as a preliminary to what you really want to say. Let me bring in Mazi Okoroafo. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sayori.
Yeah.
Sayori, what I want to find out from you and the man on Sky, the NNPC audited account, will this, over 300 million Nigerians are stakeholders of NNPC.
How many million? 300 million? Where?
Nigerians now?
No, it's 200 million. We're talking about 200 million.
Okay, to me, it's over 300.
Okay.
We say 200 million, she's underestimation.
Okay.
Now, you ask yourself, all these millions of Nigerians that are stakeholders of this program, what happened to our gas sectors? What happened to our, because Nigeria is expected by now that NNPC will tell you that the price will not be, not up to 100 naira. And you talk about the kerosene, which over 70% of Nigerians are using. Those things are the kerosene is the most expensive to not to talk about the gas. Look at the kerosene that people are using. Where is it? Now you saw that you are talking about the gas people use in cooking. Where is it? At least 12.5 or 12.2 gas cylinder is around 4,000 naira. Now you are telling us that with the audit report we are just discussing this morning, will Nigerians benefit from the report? As you are talking about cabal, the man is saying that there is no play without cabal. But the cabal in NNPC is very, very hard because if you don't belong to cabal, you cannot get in. Let me give you an example. My son went for the common the scholarship exam. That was when he was asked to continue to University. At the end of it, that was how the whole thing ended up. We didn't know whether he passed or he failed. So at the end of the day, they said, do you have anybody that belongs to see? These are the cabal exists there. So they have 100% cabal there in NNPC. Let us face reality. So
okay.
if the study report can help us
Mazi,
eradicate that cabal, so that the masses will also benefit. Kerosene is very, very expensive today.
Mazi,
thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Indeed, thank you very much for calling in, Mazi. Just as Lawrence had also done before him, Mazi and Lawrence have said that, yeah, it's fine. What you're talking about is fine. But the cabal, so-called, within the NNPC, whether it is there, whether it is not, I mean, that's why we say so-called, that people say is in there. That's another focus, another subject, focus matter. But the books being opened now, because of the current headship, Mele Kyari, saying that this is the way it's going to be.
I think it's another chapter.
That's another chapter. That's what we're looking at.
Yes.
And this is not to push aside what those other commentators are noting, but that, you know, they seem to be saying, Mukhtar, that in spite of that, no, I wonder if it isn't a great start, somewhere to start from. After all, there was a time when it was, they said for the first time in 43 years, nobody wanted to open up the books. Yeah. That can also be probably, this whole cabal or no cabal issue can also be seen perhaps as another book that indeed can be opened up. Maybe somebody can come down the line and say, can you open up the management book as well? Can you open up the processes of how people get into NNPC, how people are employed in here, what the balance is, how balanced is it for federal character? Maybe that's yet another book, Mukhtar, that can be opened possibly tomorrow.
Uncle Yori, they hit the nail on the head, and like I said, the only way to break a cabal is to put a structure. And the only way to put a structure is to make the company become private sector driven. Okay. Once NNPC becomes private sector driven, we won't be asking of federal character, we'll be asking of competency. And that is the only thing that can move a cash cow of any nation forward. Not because of you are from this state and you must have that job. We will be talking about competency. And once competency comes to play, then we are on the right track. Okay. Now, like Mazi Okorafor said, you have others. What people are not looking is that NNPC can have 7 companies coming out of NNPC. That's why we're still waiting for the PIB bill. That bill is going to bring a lot to the table. We're going to expand. We're going to see the gas company. We're going to see derivative companies that will come out of NNPC. So it's a step in the right direction that they are opening up their books.
Okay, one moment, please. One moment, forgive me, Mukhtar. One moment, I keep on doing this to you, so sorry. Ahmed has called in from Damaturu. Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Very well, very well. How are you?
I'm fine.
Go right ahead, please, quickly.
You say?
Please go ahead, quickly.
Okay. I just want to thank you. I'm watching this program this morning, so I'm very good. That's why I say, let me just greet you.
Okay, thank you very much. That's it. Short and sweet. Thank you very much. You're enjoying the program. You're enjoying where the conversation is going. I guess the conversation is all on NNPC now deciding to publish its accounts in a timely fashion so that every Nigerian shall know about the financial goings and comings. Yeah. And really, we've come to the end of the time allotment. But another interesting, which is what our program is all about, they brought out another strand, which is, be that as it may, there are other issues. I didn't want to use the word problem. Indeed. There are other issues within, you know, our cash cow. And perhaps tomorrow might be a day for us to also address that. Yeah, maybe kudos to President Muhammadu Buhari and Malam Kyari for taking it this far and for, you know, asserting that under his watch, this is the way it's going to be. Well, everybody is hearing that. The other concern people have is, what's the composition of NNPC? What's this so-called cabal? Is it a figment of the imagination of the people, or is it something that needs to be aired and so addressed? Well, that's our program today. We've got to leave it here. I want to thank you very much, Mukhtar Mohammed. Thank you very much for coming on as well. And before that, Engineer Adigbenro, who helped us to understand it. Indeed. So that's our program. So Tolu and I are saying, be safe. Join us on Monday, God willing, for a fresh edition. Bye-bye for now.